I don't care what they tell you. You're gonna have to pay the price because everything you've done to this point has led you to poverty. So you have to change everything. Guys, I had a comment on one of my videos a couple of weeks ago. Somebody said, hey, what do I do if I'm poor and I want to get rich? I'm starting from nothing. What do I do? And I said, you know what? Let's answer that question in a video. So I want to talk to you about what does a poor person do? The poor person's way to get rich. That's not easy, but it's possible. It's doable. It's achievable and it works. And listen, getting rich from being poor is challenging and it's going to require some things of you. It's going to require being patient, being persistent. It's going to require you facing new challenges. It's going to require you being willing to make some sacrifices, but no excuses. You got to be willing to pay this price if you're starting from being poor and you want to get rich. It's not easy. And anybody who comes on YouTube and tells you that it's easy, turn away from them. Don't listen to them. It's not easy, but it can be done. First thing is you got to start thinking. This right here is your superpower. How you think is really going to keep you poor, or it's going to be able to propel you and get you started on your journey towards financial freedom, to be rich. It's all about how you think, because your mind is your number one weapon against poverty. Your mind is your number one tool to use to get you out of this poor state that you may be in. So the first thing is you got to shift the way you think. You got to say, you know what? I'm going to learn about personal finances. I'm going to do all of the self-learning I can and researching I can about investing or managing money or being better with money or building wealth. You got to say, I'm going to start putting that stuff in my brain and I'm going to start using it, but I got to get the knowledge. So you got to start thinking in a different way. You got to shift that mind frame from lack to abundance, from poverty to rich. You got to think that you can become wealthy before you can become wealthy. You got to think it's possible. If you don't think it's possible in your own mind, then it's not going to be doable, because if you don't think it's possible, you're not going to do the things that's going to help you get there. So you got to educate yourself. You have to avoid, this is the big one right here. You got to avoid the victim mentality. If you're poor and you want to get rich, you have to avoid being a victim. Don't let people call you or label you a victim. And more importantly, don't call or label yourself a victim. Focus on what you can control and be proactive getting there. See, a victim just sits around and waits on everything to happen around them and doesn't take power and go out and do something. Don't be that person. You want to be victorious, not a victim. So don't think that you got to have this social program and that social program and you need the government to do this and you got to have this president and you got to have this mayor of your city and you got to have this governor. You don't need any of that. Don't hang your hat of success on the actions and behaviors of other things around you that you can't control. Don't hang your success on whether or not this law gets passed or whether or not inflation is what it is or the cost of living. Look, you can't control any of that stuff. The only thing you can control is how you think and how you behave. And if you can change those things, first starting in the mind, you're going to be fine. You can make it. That's the beginning of this whole thing. That's the beginning. That's where it all starts. The biggest problem with being poor is not the lack of money. It's the lack of thinking. It's the lack of understanding that there's other possibilities. It's the limitations you place on your mind. That's the biggest part of being poor that hurts a lot of people. So if you can change the way you think, you're off to the right start. Then you want to start prioritizing skill building. You want to start prioritizing in your life, developing higher paying skills if you're a poor person. If you're a poor person, one of the reasons you're poor is because you have skills that don't pay very well. You want to be looking at and looking into developing and getting skills that pay more money. Look, there's nothing at all wrong with working at McDonald's. I'm not mad at you if you work at McDonald's and you make $15 an hour. That's cool. I'm not mad at you for that. You got to understand this concept. You make $15 an hour because you bring $15 an hour skills to the market. You have to bring $100 an hour skills to the market. How do you do that? You build up your skills. You have to prioritize that, because if you live a life of low paying skills, you'll always be paid low dollar. You have to live a life of higher paying skills so you can build up your investments and build up your future finances. You can't do it working at McDonald's making $15 an hour. There's nothing wrong. There's honor in all work. But the point is, if you want to pull yourself out of poverty, you got to prioritize higher paying skills in your life. Have them, get them, develop them, cultivate them, pay some money to get them, right? If you got to save up money and it takes you 3-4 years, you're poor right now, save up. It's worth it. 2 or 3 years worth of sacrifice is worth 20 and 30 and 40 years of having higher paying skills. Then you also have to get a grip on your spending. And you may be saying, well, I'm poor. I don't spend a lot. Well, guess what? You can't always immediately change what you bring in terms of income. But you can change always today what you spend, your expenses. You got to get in the habit of spending less money, cutting out any unnecessary expenses, creating a budget, a monthly written budget, so you can look at yourself on paper and start to review it and look at some things that you can cut out. You've got to start tracking yourself, tracking what you spend at the fast food restaurants, tracking what you spend every time you go to Target or Kohl's and you walk in there and you grab some candy and you grab some gum, you grab some chips. What are you spending? You got to get a hold of yourself and your spending, because the sooner you get a hold of what you spend, the more you can determine what you can invest. And speaking of expenses, you got to pay off some debt. Right? Very important that you understand that by having these monthly payments of $300 here and $500 there and $600 there and $40 here, that stuff adds up. These are payments, debt payments you got to get rid of. A lot of you watching this video right now, you pay $1,200 and $1,500 a month towards payments, credit cards, medical bills, student loans, car payments, whatever they could be. You got to get rid of the debt, because the debt is going to free up money. By getting rid of the debt and freeing up some money, now you're going to have some money to invest. Guys, if you're getting anything out of this video, do me a favor and smash that like button below. Also, please share this video with your friends, your family, and your network of people. And if you're not a subscriber to this channel, please consider subscribing to my channel. Now, let's get back to the video. Now, when it comes to investing and you're poor, you got to start small. Right? Even if it's just the 401k at your job and getting the match, get it. Even if it's just putting $5 or $10 or $30 a paycheck into your brokerage account at Vanguard, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, whatever, Robinhood. Start small and be consistent. You don't have to be chunks at a time. Speaking of consistent, when you're poor and you're trying to build wealth and get rich, it's going to take some time. You got to be patient with yourself, patient with the process of investing, patient with the process of getting better with your money, becoming a better manager of your money, patient with the process of getting those higher paying skills, patient with the process of learning new material, learning new information. Patience, patience, patience. But when you're investing and you don't have much money, it's okay to start with what you got. It's not about how much you got. A lot of times it's just about getting started and getting the habit and getting the feel for investing, the feel for every single time you get paid, money is going somewhere else and you don't see it, but it's growing and you don't see it growing, right? That's a different mind shift for a lot of people. Some people, they're used to looking at their money and seeing their money, and they've been poor for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and they're used to seeing their money in their bank account down the street or seeing their money under their mattress. Look, you got to get to the point where you're comfortable not seeing the money. It's okay to start small and what we call dollar cost average into investments. So dollar cost average just means putting a certain amount at a certain increment of time into an investment. $50 a week, $200 a month, $400 every time you get paid. That's just dollar cost averaging. You're not watching the stock market or your individual stocks or your ETFs or index fund. You're not watching them every single moment of every single day. You're just steady putting money in no matter what they're doing, how they're performing. Doesn't matter. You're just putting money in. That's dollar cost averaging. That's got to be a part of your strategy when you're poor and you're trying to get rich and build some wealth. And let's not forget the multiple streams of income, side hustles. You know, using your skills to make some money on the side, maybe a side business from your job, right? But you got to think about bringing in money from more than just one income source. The job. The job is the highest taxed income source that we have in America. You're going to pay more taxes on a job than you pay with any other taxes. So you got to figure out, how can I make some money where I'm paying less taxes? And I don't mean where you don't pay no taxes. I want you to be legal with this thing as you grow and build, right? And legally, what are some other income streams where you can pay less in taxes, like capital gains, dividends, rental income, things where you don't have to pay as high taxes as earned income from a job? Be thinking about these different ways. Maybe it's a side hustle where you're making profit income. These are ways that a poor person can become rich. That's not easy, but it's possible. These things really work. And then I don't want to leave out the fact that you got to get around the right people. Look, your network of people is going to have to change. You're trying to go from poor to rich. You can't be around the same people, because the people that you're around when you're poor, a lot of them won't even want to be around you when you start to build wealth, when you start on this journey to change the way you handle and manage money in your life. Those people, a lot of them, they'll either try to bring you back down, make you feel bad, make you feel guilty, or they won't want to associate with you. That's okay. You need to start developing and forming a new network of people that are at or where you want to go. It could be some type of mentorship, somebody to help you out. It could be just friendships. It could be the connections you make on your social media platforms. But you have to begin to cultivate a new group of people that are going to be supportive of you and your new journey. And you're going to have to understand that you got to sacrifice some stuff. I don't care what they tell you. You're going to have to pay the price. And part of that price is not just time and energy and doing the things and learning the things and getting the new skills. Part of that sacrifice is delaying some of the gratification that you see all around you that people are getting and having, right? This immediate gratification cannot be in your vocabulary. You've got to delay gratification for down the road. As I said before, you got to be patient. Right? This thing is going to take a while. You don't get from poor to rich overnight. You don't get from poor to rich in 5 years in most cases, right? It takes some time of you changing and evolving who you are, how you think, and what you do. Because everything you've done to this point has led you to poverty, right? If you're an adult in America, you're over 25 or 30 or 40 years old, if you're still poor, what you have done, your habits and behaviors over the last 10, 15, 20 years has led you to remain impoverished. So you have to change everything, but you got to get some discipline and you got to be patient. And of course, take this responsibility. Be accountable. Don't be in the habit of blaming everybody else around you or blaming all the things around you you can't change. Blaming everybody around you for where you are with your money, or blaming all of the surrounding circumstances of life in America or life in whatever country you're in. That's never been a recipe for success. And it won't start today. You're not going to be successful that way. It's about being able to look right in the mirror at the person in the mirror and say, what do I have to do to make these changes today? When you get fed up like that, that's when this thing will go from poor to rich. And the poor to rich is going to start here first. It's not easy, but it's possible. It's not easy, but it's doable. It's not easy, but I'm telling you from personal experience, it works. Drop a comment and let me know your thoughts. Listen, if you got value from this video, share the video with somebody else, somebody who you know. Get this word out to other people to motivate, encourage, and inspire somebody besides yourself, that just because you're living in poverty right now or you're poor, you don't have to stay there. There's hope, right? You can change. You can do something different. You can have some different habits to grow and build. Remember, the best person who's going to take care of the old you is not your kids. It's not your grandkids. It's not the nursing home. It's not the adult daycare center. It's not the president. It's not inflation. It's not the cost of this, the cost of that. It's none of that. The best person who's going to take care of the old you is the young you, the you today. Guys, take good care of yourself and take care of other people. Until the next video, peace.